it did seem like there was danger behind every corner. I got beat up when I was 15 by a group of lads, and I just remember thinking, this. I'm not going to feel this vulnerable again. I'm the living, breathing example of what martial arts can do to help somebody. I was multiple British, European and world champion. I couldn't join the Parachute Regiment straight away because I was too skinny. Turned up at the careers office with 4 pairs of bottoms on. I had a couple of pairs of jeans and tracksuits. Depot, they split it over 2 camps. So you had ATR Lichfield for phase 1, and then you moved to Catterick then for your phase 2. It was tough. It was the hardest thing you can do as a young man. It was everything I thought it was going to be. And then we had the kick-off with the Russians. We're going to start World War III here. It was just like outlaws. There was just no police, no nothing. The gods of war are calling on us one last time. I actually rejoined at 45. Your medical record when you're in your 40s is not like when you're 17, 18 and going through the process. Yeah.
Okay, the debrief this week then. I welcome former paratrooper Lee Matthews. How are you, buddy? You all right?
I'm great, thanks. Nice to meet you, Phil.
Yeah, good. So, listen, what we're going to do today, we're going to have a broad brush chat about everything, about you. I want to know who Lee Matthews is. By the end of this, everybody should know exactly who you are, what you do and what you're about, where you've been and how you've done it. All right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. So let's go. I'll go back to the beginning of all my guests.
Yeah.
Lee Matthews as a kid, what was it like? What did you do? Where were you?
So I'm from a place called Telford in the West Midlands.
Okay.
Don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
I've heard of Telford, yeah.
Yeah, not far from Wolverhampton and Birmingham.
Cool.
So it was. It's a new town. It was built in the 70s, I think, and it was like an overspill of Birmingham, Wolverhampton, and it was basically lots of villages.
Right. Okay.
All little villages from the Industrial Revolution, like Ironbridge, Madeley, Dawley, Wellington. And then they banged loads of council estates in the middle of them in a big town centre, and then called it Telford.
And that was it. So, was it a council estate that you were brought up on?
It was, yeah, multiple ones. So, a place called Brookside in Telford, still knocking
Brookside.
about.
Was that anything like the Brookside?
No, yeah, it was actually.
Was it?
Yeah, but it's the Telford equivalent. So it didn't really have a personality because it's a great place. I love it, and I'm from there, and I've still got my main headquarters. Yeah. But because it was lots of little villages, and then they banged all these kind of council estates in, it was quite segmented. And so there was a lot of like big gangs when you were like a teenager. The different areas didn't really kind of gel that well. So there was just shitloads of trouble all the time.
Family life? You came from a stable background?
Yeah. So pretty stable. Parents were they got divorced when I was 12. We moved to London. Just for like as a last ditch attempt to kind of work the relationship out, and that didn't work. Yeah. So we came straight back, and then I moved to another upper school in a different area. Okay. So I come out from Telford from the one side, and then I moved into the other side, and so from then, like I said earlier, there was a bit of friction with some of the areas because I was from one, and then moved to another one, and it was
postcode stuff, Telford stuff.
Yeah. So it was good, but it did seem like there was danger behind every corner. As a teenager growing up, and I'm not sure how it is nowadays. I think it's a bit different, and they've got loads of extra stuff, and infrastructure's been built. But it was.
What were your memories of school? How were you at school? Did you like school?
Yeah, I was terrible. I was like, So I found out when I was 35 that I was actually dyslexic.
Right, okay. Yeah. A lot of people don't find out. I'm numeric. I'm the same with numbers. So I can't do numbers. But yeah, it's you don't find out until later on in life, do you?
No. Well, there wasn't such a thing, was there, really, then?
No ADHD, no, nothing like that.
I was just in class 4 for all the stuff. So because of that, and I moved to quite a few different upper schools. So I moved, as I said, I was in London for a little bit. I moved to Oxford as well for a short period of time. I was about 14. And then I was in multiple schools in and around Telford. So I didn't really try, to be honest with you. I knew when I got to about 15, that's when I decided I wanted to be in the military, really. I wanted to get away from it.
What opened that door to you? Where did you see the military? Do you know what I mean? What said to you, I'll tell you what, I want to be like one of them?
Well, there's a lot of contemplation on what I should do or what I shouldn't do, and I did have limited options, to be honest with you, because I knew I wasn't going to really get any grades from school.
Yeah, I didn't get nothing.
No, so I had literally had a small kind of arc of what I could potentially do. Yeah. And if I was going to do it, because I was doing martial arts from a kid as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I was going to do it, I wanted to do something challenging because I fancied myself as pretty fit. Yeah. So I wanted to do something that was going to build me up and make me to be the type of man I wanted to be. Do you know what I mean? I had an idea in my head of the type of man I wanted to be. So when I come to about the age of, yeah, like I said, 15, maybe 16, I then decided that I needed to put myself through whatever needed to be done to be that man. Because it's hard when you're young, because you're just terrified, aren't you? And when your adrenaline goes and you're fearful of things and you're unconfident on what you're able to achieve. But
You're a lump now. Were you a lump as a kid?
No.
No.
I actually, had to. I couldn't join the Parachute Regiment straight away because I was too skinny, height to weight ratio.
Wow, okay.
So they said, go and put some weight on. So I was eating.
Oh, that's easier said than done,
Yeah.
especially when you're young, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, with the metabolism I had. So I was eating loads of Mars bars, I was going to the gym, weight training. So I turned up at the careers office with 4 pairs of bottoms on. I had a couple of pairs of jeans and tracksuits, weighed myself.
Just to make the weight.
Luckily, just got on the weight.
Filled your pockets with stones.
Yeah, but I literally did have stuff in my pockets. But it wasn't as strict then back then, was it? You know, when you was getting on.
No. I've got a friend whose eyes were absolutely, they had it. And he sort of like dropped the paper and said, no, you've done me right. And he got in with dodgy eyes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So I managed to get in. But when we did you do the proper, that was at the careers office, that was.
Yeah.
And then you go and do your what's it called? Like the 2-day
The
military.
Sutton Coldfield thing. Was it Sutton Coldfield?
It was Lichfield. Mine was Lichfield.
Lichfield, okay. Yeah.
So I went over there to do that, and I was underweight again, but I just had been ill, and they was like, all right then. And then let me through. So luckily, so I was really skinny. In fact, I'll tell you exactly what I weighed. I fought in under 64 kilogram section when I was 16.
Wow.
So that's how skinny I was. I was same height pretty much. I was like 6 foot. I was 6 foot from the time I was about 13, and I was really skinny. So you don't
hurt when you're tall, does it?
No. And then because of that, you get in confrontations with all the 16, 17-year-old lads. And you're a kid still, but you don't look like it. So that's why I thought, flipping hell, I felt quite vulnerable. And I remember I got beat up when I was 15 by a group of lads when I was with a couple of girls for nothing, for no reason.
Just for being you.
Just because I was a lad by myself with a couple of girls. And I just remember thinking, fuck this. I thought, I'm not going to feel this vulnerable again. And I just did whatever, with my martial arts training, I just submerged myself. I was going to do whatever it took.
What martial arts did you do?
It's kickboxing.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one. Things have come on quite a lot now. There's a lot of MMA now, but that wasn't around at that point, really.
No, there was no cage fight, nothing like that, was there?
No. So you had your local kung fu club, you had your local karate. There's no BJJ, there's no MMA, not to any level that you'd be aware of. So I just went to whatever was closest. Because that's all you did. I had to walk to all my martial arts classes and then be resourceful. And then once I got to know people and wanted to go to tournaments, just bumming lifts off people at at the club. So it's good though.
People in those environments tend, if you're keen enough to go, someone will get you there, or they'll help you out, won't they? Do you know what I mean? The boxing world's the same. Do you know
That's what you're there for as an instructor, aren't you?
Yeah.
There to mentor and help people because they've normally gone through that process themselves, and you can see it, and you want to help people.
So is there a belt system in kickboxing?
There is, yeah.
Okay, so by the time you came to join in the army, had you got a couple of belts?
I've got a couple, but I didn't have many because we didn't have enough money to grade, really. So I didn't really have that much money to be able to just go and do the gradings because it's quite expensive. So I was still training. I was still fighting in competitions. I'd done a few belts, but then I'd fight up in the higher sections anyway because of my experience. So when I joined the army, though, I had to kind of put that on the back burner a little bit. Because you know what it's like.
Yeah, because I mean, depot para is not sort of like something you can keep up your outside.
No. I do remember trying to stretch off in the rooms at night for the first couple of weeks sometimes, but I thought you just need to submerge myself because
there's other stuff he's doing like your bed space and your boots and your the rest of the BS that goes with it.
And that was 94 5th of December 94 when I
joined.
Did
you join? You joined as an adult, I take it.
I joined 2 days after my 18th birthday.
Okay, and that was up. Where? That's up north in Catterick.
Yeah. So what they did, it was obviously at the originally Aldershot, wasn't it? So that's where it was. I think is that when you did yours was at Aldershot?
I did my peak hunt. It was the second one at Catterick.
Was it? Oh right. So when it would have been a similar time, I'd imagine. Would it? 93?
Yeah, it would have been. Around about that time. Yeah.
So we hadn't long been up there. I think it had been there about a year, something like that. So depot, they split it over two camps. So you had ATR Lichfield for phase 1. Yeah. So you did the first 10 weeks there. You pass off the square at week 5 or 6. I can't remember all the details. It changes all the time, doesn't it? The dates. And then you passed your basic training at week 10. Got your beret with your green back in at about week 6 or whatever it is. And then you moved to Catterick then for your phase 2 because they were changing it all around.
You share that with the guards depot, isn't it? It's a guard.
So guards and the Gurkhas now. I can't remember if Gurkhas were there when I was there or not, but they're definitely there now. But it was the guards definitely. So you share, but you have nothing to do with them at all. Like
No.
they've got their own staff.
Other than the fact you can hear them permanently. On
Yeah, that's it.
To do my nutting.
I know, yeah. So they were at the camp as well, but as I said, it's centralised. You have your own staff, don't you, with PowerEdge? So it's only PowerEdge PTIs, PowerEdge depot staff, the lot. So, and it was just amazing. I absolutely loved it. It was everything I thought it was going to be. So and it was tough. It was the hardest thing you can do as a young man, you know. But it was also amazing at the same time. I mean, the best things are the worst things, aren't they? Always.
Yeah, I always say that. You know, all the hard stuff I've done, I've enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
And if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. So do you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's good if you can get like that. If you can enjoy the process, then you know you do.
I think you have to enjoy it in certain. When things get harder, and P Company is an extremely hard course, especially at that sort of age.
Yeah, you don't realise.
Then you know you've got to enjoy it to stay there. Otherwise, you'd just rap, wouldn't you? Your tits would come off, and you go on going home now. You know, I'm having enough of that.
But it's the brotherhood. I loved it straight away. We made good friends with people, and you could just see as you were going through the training, and just people were just dropping off quite consistently. All the way through from phase 1 over to phase 2. Then they merged one of our platoons with another platoon. So we were 598. They merged that with 599.
And people drop all the time off these courses, don't they?
Yeah.
But that actually, in a funny way, that makes me feel. That gives me a bit of a see you later, mate.
Yeah, I know it does sound horrible, but it does. It's like the Highlander.
Yeah.
You know, he chops someone's head off and he gets empowered by everyone.
That's it. No, because you are better than that man in your own little world at the moment, aren't you? You know what I mean? And it's all about getting to where you need to be, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you can never tell who's going to get through. You know, some of the really good lads, the strong, fit ones, you just think, oh, they're unbelievable.
But they turn up too fit, don't they?
Yeah.
They turn up like clicking and tutting and like, how did you get that fit? Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, you know, halfway down the line, they're being beasted and smashed, and it's like, oh, they're broken already.
Yeah, I miss my girlfriend. Like, oh. So athletes, the athletes. I remember rocking up on day 1 and just thinking, bloody hell, some of these guys are unbelievably fit. But within 2 weeks, a lot of them had just gone and wrapped the really fit ones. And then you've got, obviously, you start moving into the field as well. So a lot of the athletes perform well when they've got the right sleep, the right
trainers
nutrition.
on.
When it's shit and cold and wet. Nothing's harder than soldiering, though. Anyone who's been shit and cold and wet, that's the worst. It's the worst experience you can have, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to crack a joke and make fun of it, haven't you, and keep your morale high.
100%. So you came out of depot.
Yeah, so I came out of depot. We moved. So the guys, 3 para. I went to 3 para. They were
just still at Dover then, were they?
Just moved to Dover that summer. We came in. We came in when they moved to Dover. And we did the acceptance card. I think it's July. It was like red hot. I can't remember. It's about 30 degrees. You got the cliffs and everything. When you join battalion, I'm not sure what it's like now, but you had to do an acceptance card. I just thought it never fucking ends.
Just so they can beast you.
Yeah,
just so they go.
And it's not.
Just so go, put your cap badge where it should be.
Yeah.
Until you've done this.
And we did a 10 mile in something stupid. It wasn't peak up the time. It was a lot quicker than that. And it was like, I don't know, over 25 degrees. It was red hot. I don't think you could do that now, can you? I think there's
Probably
like 21
not.
degrees,
Yeah,
I think.
Be cold off.
Yeah, so, and I don't know how many passed it, but not everybody, like a handful or whatever it was, obviously, myself included. And then I remember everyone saying, oh, these Joes are shit, these recruits are shit. It's because, you know, we moved from Catterick to... we moved from
doing
Aldershot
up to Catterick.
So you know what?
Of course, it's going to be like that. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be yeah. Not like the Aldershot.
Exactly. And everyone was like, "Oh, this shit now." Since they moved, all the recruits are shit, and they're not, because like everything, Afghan and Iraq and everything happened since then, and the military had some of the best performances they've ever done.
Oh, mate, they absolutely excelled themselves. The Parachute Regiment, and rightly so. Do you know what I mean? But they've always been at the front of everything, haven't they? To be honest.
Yeah, that's it. So, and it was great to be part of that. And you know what it's like. You don't get accepted straight away. You've got to earn your way in.
Earn your place, haven't you? And I think that's right. Do you know what I mean? You don't just fall straight in, do you? Do you know what I mean? Even, like I say, even other places that you end up further on in your career, you've got to earn your place, haven't you?
Always, yeah. I like that. I do like that as well. So obviously, depot hadn't changed. Depot's still hard. P Company's still hard now. And I know that depot's still hard because I'm actually in 4 para now, and I rejoined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
I actually rejoined at 45. I'll tell you what happened, actually. I moved to Liverpool, and the Parachute Regiment, 4 para, the Liverpool branch moved to Altcart, which is 400 metres from where I live.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was...
That's like rubbing your nose,
exactly, and I thought, I'm 42, I think, at the time. I think the cut-off was about 44.
Yeah.
No, 40, before your 43rd birthday it was. So I was like, this is obviously the gods of war are calling on us one last time to do something. So it took me a bit of time to persuade my wife. And then after a couple of years, I thought, right, I can do it. I've got the green flag. Then I applied. It took me years to get in because your medical record when you're in your 40s is not like when you're 17, 18 and going through the process.
Your BMI changes slightly.
Everything, yeah. So I had a medical record like that. I'm not going to grasp myself up on what I did, but I managed to be resourceful and reduced the size of my medical record.
Happy days. Let's take you back into Parareg.
Yeah.
Dover. What was your first operational tour?
So we did Northern Ireland in Ardoyne. Okay. So that was, I think, 96.
Was that 6 months or was it?
It was, but they got cut down to 4 months. It was just getting towards the peace process. It was all starting to happen.
Yeah. So it was sat in camp.
Yeah, it was still good. We were still out on the ground. There was no contacts or anything like that, but there's still loads of unease, and there was kick-offs, and you know what it's like. So it was exciting compared to what I'd done. Yeah. But I think at that time as well, apart from Ireland, there hadn't been much had there since like the Falklands.
No, not really.
So
really. The odd person might have gone here and there, but there wasn't too much going on, was there?
No, there wasn't. And
you
then
were just getting into the Balkans period, then, weren't you? You were just about to pick up. You know, obviously the Balkans went Pete Tong, and then those sorts of places.
We went to Kosovo. A company of three para got attached to one para when we went to Kosovo. Okay. So I did my second operational tour there. That was brilliant. And that was a lot of action compared to what we saw at Ireland. Obviously, nothing compared to what the guys did at Iraq and Afghan. I'm not going to try and gob off and pretend I'm some type of war hero when some of the stuff that my mates got went through there was just unbelievable. But it was a good tour. It was just like outlaws. There was just no police, nothing. So when everyone started coming back in, it was just crazy. It was looting everywhere. So we had to just like make a presence on the ground and dominate the area. And then we had the kickoff with the Russians as well. Not many people know about that, but we were waiting over in Macedonia to go across the border, and we got our orders to go. The Russians are airborne. They're paratroopers. They're flying into Pristina Airport. They're going to be there by the time you land there. So we've got to go and show us strength and go. So they gave us all of our orders to that. Everyone was perplexed and confused as to what was going on at the time.
But then thinking you're going to have a tear up with the Russians.
Yeah, the response of everyone was amazing because everyone was like, "Fucking come on!" Like I was like, "Wow!" Like we're going to start World War III.
Yeah. Let's have it.
I know. So and then a couple of hours afterwards, they come back and it all got sacked off, didn't it? Last minute because I think some American general was getting a bit gun ho, and I think he got overruled by our Prime Minister at the time.
All right, they might have got a bit windy. I mean, you send Parareg in and tell them,
absolutely.
There'll be a load of other paratroopers there, and you got to show it. Really,
some crazy bastard's going to do something, aren't they?
Off like Chinese
absolutely,
New Year, wouldn't it?
And I think that's what happened. I think they didn't want to be responsible for World War III, so they called it all off. The Russians landed in Pristina because they weren't part. This was a NATO operation, wasn't it? Yeah. So they weren't part of NATO. Obviously, Russia, anti-Russia in NATO. So they wanted to be on the ground, so they could
want to be seen.
Yeah, and they were drunk on patrols and that, and they were driving the tanks at you and turning last minute. So they kept you on your toes as well when you were there.
I'm surprised it never went off with a few.
Yeah, I am as well. I really. So when you're on patrols, that's what we were thinking. It's like, where's the Russians?
Yeah.
But it never though. You know, I don't think their morale was that high. So I heard rumours they hadn't been paid or whatever. I don't know how much of that's true.
Food wasn't getting through and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So you had that tour. Yeah. Where else did you go? Did you do anything else?
No, it's just those two. I got out in end of 2001. So it was all kicking off really after that point.
Yeah. But similar. I got out in September 2001. So that would have been a similar time to you.
My brother was in one para as a captain, so he was actually part of Operation Barras.
Yes.
With one para in the SAS.
Yeah. I was on that as well.
Oh, were you? He was a young captain at the time. Okay. He was 23. So I'll tell you the story actually, because obviously we grew up together. Yeah. Great best friends. You know, there's 18 months between us, fighting like cat and dog every day. You know, typical 80s upbringing, jumping over each other on bikes, disappearing for hours and hours. Hanging around the streets, but trying not to get into too much trouble. Yeah. And he was really clever, though. He's probably one of the cleverest people I've ever met. He was an A-grade student, so he was like the captain of his football team. So he would just stay in while I was out with friends and girls and stuff, and he'd just be studying. So I joined the Paras, and then while I was going through the recruitment process, I got information about, because he didn't know anything about the army really, that you could be an officer and what the officers did, and the kind of the money they get paid, what their role is, and the prestige actually of being an officer. So he went down that route, and he actually joined something called Welbeck College. I'm not even sure if
I know Welbeck College. Yeah, it was. I don't know if it's still there now, but it certainly was. It certainly was in the day.
He was going to go to the REME or Royal Engineers route.
Yeah.
So he went there. It was amazing. It's like Hogwarts. It's an unbelievable place. The grounds were beautiful. The way they were treated, and he came back with a posh accent after he'd been there 2 years. Still take the piss out of him now, so I don't know your real accent. So he was there for 2 years, and then within that time, I'd gone through depot. We went on holiday, and I took him with me when he was there, and we met loads of one para lads that had just passed out, and we all dressed as toga. He got dressed as chicks, borrowed some chicks' clothes, and he just thought, "Oh, this is great. I want to be part of like this
proper reg stuff."
Yeah. And the officers are just as bad as the blokes, aren't they?
Yeah.
So he changed his mind when he was in there, and then just went straight to Sandhurst at 18, which is really young for a Parage officer. They don't normally like him that young.
Yeah.
But because he's already gone through the process of Welbeck, they were all right with it. So by the time he passed, he's in battalion when he was like 19, I think, as a second lieutenant.
Wow. So
he was young. So when he got to 23, he just got made up to captain and went, I can't remember what company it was with one para now. I can't remember what company assisted the SAS, but whatever company that was, A or C, I think. I can't remember. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on it. But he'd just been made up to, I think he was Company 2IC. So, or he, yeah. So I think he was, it might have been Company 2IC as his captain. Is that right? Does that
sound
right?
The 2IC, didn't the 2IC end up taking over, didn't it?
Yeah,
because
that was him.
That was him.
That was him.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
So he was the 23-year-old, so that's exactly what happened. Yeah. They're on the ground. I think the OC got hit by shrapnel.
That's right. Yeah.
Did he lose his leg as well? I can't remember, but he got
something bounced off a tree, didn't it?
Yeah.
Somewhere, and it ended up going.
So he had to take over, and it went like clockwork, as we all know. Yeah. And he got the military cross for that. Got awarded from the Queen a military cross for that when he was like 23.
Yeah, so, fair play to him, because they got bogged down a bit as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, with that happening at the same time, momentum was being lost. And
yeah.
They were fist, and it just boomed, and off they went again. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be fair, I've always said if we hadn't stopped them on the day, they'd still be going now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was great. His career was kind of going really well from that. And I think, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. Obviously now, one para SFSG, and I think it might have been the success of that probably helped towards.
That was the first time that basically the regiment had gone, we need some help here.
Yeah.
We need some out of cordon type stuff going on, all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And that was the first time it really happened. It wasn't modelled off the Americans, I don't think, but the Americans had the Rangers, always looking after Delta and all that sort of stuff. So we knew it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked particularly well on that operation. So I think SFFG probably was a spin-off of what happened in Sierra Leone.
Because it worked. Yeah. So he was great. His career was mapped out. He went to...
And I'm going to tell you now, knowing, as a trooper on the ground with the SAS, knowing that you now had a company of these lunatics from Parareds who were like chomping at the bit to have
just
it
to
with
kill everyone.
Anyone who moved, I'll have it with them. You know what I mean? It was such a boost.
Was it? Did that help the blokes?
Absolutely.
So
it did me.
Did it?
Yeah. We were confident in our own abilities, obviously, but to know that, on the other side of the river there could be another X amount of rebels, and now you've got X amount of lunatics going to talk them out. Happy days, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Was that their job, wasn't it, to kind of set a cordon up and stop, allow you guys to get on with
take care of the other side of the river, because the other side of the river could have had potentially loads of people on it.
But then we
knew where the hostages were. That was sort of like the intricate bit. But we also knew that we could get counter-attacked from the other side of the river, and it would have just been a bun fight. Do you know what I mean? And that just nipped that all in the bud, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was that. With that, then he went to Iraq, and then he come back from Iraq. Got drunk the first day, wrecked, walked back down the country lane, got run over. Tib and fibs broke in both of his legs, metal plate. So that was his career over. Yeah. So that was it from that, unfortunately.
Wow.
But he's doing well now. He's a director, works for a big company called Garda World. He's like one of the...
I know Garda World.
He's in charge of Baghdad and all that.
I hope he's doing right.
He's doing really well now.
A wage like a small planet.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all good on.
So you got out?
Yeah, I got out.
Why did you get out?
I got married. And then I had a little lad. But he's not little now. He's 23. So I had a lad. Yeah. I was at depot at the time as a PTI ATR Litchfield, which was the Phase 1 training for the Parareg.
Got you.
So I was doing all the Phase 1 stuff, which was all the runs, all the circuits, basically. It was all thrashings. So I think it's changed somewhat the way they
And
build.
you kept up your martial arts at this stage?
Yeah, yeah. So I'd managed to start being able to delve back into it because Lichfield's only 45 minutes from Telford.
Yeah.
So a couple of years before that, just on the last couple of years before I'd started going out, I was able to start competing again, going to finding other clubs, other good clubs that were around the area. And then I just submerged myself in. That's the way I'm obsessive compulsive. I'm like, if I'm in, I'm all in. So I was training. I was so fit at the time. You're doing 2 or 3 classes a day for the recruits, and then I'd go and do my own bit of weight training at lunchtime, go kickboxing in the evening. You're just non-stop, aren't you, at that age? So, but I felt like I was a junior NCO. I'd done my PTI course, which I wanted to do. I'd been on a couple of tours, and I thought, I'd seen that it was going to be quite similar now. I've done some of the things that I'd wanted to do. I'd felt like I ticked a lot of the boxes of what I'd wanted to do personally. And I was young enough then to be able to focus on my martial arts career still. There was no one doing it as a career. No one was paid or anything back then. So I was going to have to teach. So I would have loved to have been able to just fight for money, but there wasn't that opportunity really. That'd have been great. Yeah. And there is now. You got with what they've got with the MMA circuit.
Well, look at even Conor Van, steps straight out of the boxing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
If he's even out yet, he's boxing professionally.
I think so. While he's still in. Yeah.
Incredible.
So with that, then I just wanted to do that, and things were happening in the early 2000s as well. All the American gurus were coming over, and these guys are millionaires teaching martial arts. So they were coming over and telling them about all their processes and systems and how you can actually make a living from it. So there
was all these seminars in them days, weren't there?
Yeah.
You got all these seminars, and they were making good coin off them.
They were. So you didn't realise at the time that you're their income stream, aren't you? So, but you were still learning, or still getting value and getting stuff from it. But I wanted, not all of it rubbed with me, because a lot of it was quite PC, like, and coming from the military, especially as para-reg, I'm old school with my approach to things, but I had to change it somewhat because I'm teaching children. Yeah. But I wanted to keep the authenticity, and I wanted to keep the same kind of ethos. So I started my organisation called British Military Martial Arts.
Okay.
And obviously I'd run classes like you would a military PT session.
Yeah,
and would have big milestone events. Like the black belt is nails. It's like doing multiple P company events. And I've got kids that are 12, 13 going through it as well. So you can imagine the type of preparation mentally we need to get them in.
Yeah,
and the managing of the parents' expectations as well. That's a lot, because it's not nice seeing your children
go through that. Parents almost sort of like live some of these things. I've seen it in the football world with parents. They live the kids. Live it for them, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the mums. They can't help it. That's what they're there for, to keep them alive, because the dads are pushing them.
Especially with something like martial arts, because playing football, you might get tackled roughly or whatever, but you're kicking and punching people in the head, aren't you?
Yeah, this is it.
It's like little Johnny's there, and his mum's going, "Oh, little Johnny's going to punch me."
Yeah, and they're crying as well, and they're going to be crying. Sometimes they get a bit of blood's going around. You just can't help it. You manage it as best as you can, but you've got to make sure that you want to set these kids up so that that it changes them. It should be a big milestone event, which once they've done, changes their whole self-image about themselves and sets them up so they can be a rock solid, adult, and they learn from it. So it can't be easy. It's got to be tough.
I think that's one of the key things I think that kids do get from martial arts, and anything exterior from school, is you're teaching them stuff they don't do in school now, do they? They don't do any leadership.
Oh, no, nothing.
There's none of that sort of stuff.
So we make sure we do that. We do log run and everything. We do a log run on my instructor training course. We do a log run. Yeah. The sparring, you obviously know milling in the Parachute Regiment. Yeah. It's like 16 rounds worth, but obviously with more skill. But we're breaking them down. We make them do a run first and fitness tests, and then they spar. Then they'll go to the full contact, and then they'll do 2-on-1 full contact. So you totally depleted them, and then you just put in bigger and bigger challenges in front of them. But once they've overcome it, it changes them forever. The parents are my biggest fans at that point. Then they're like, "Oh, thank you." Totally changes the the way they are.
Johnny's disciplined. He's got confidence.
He gets to wear the black suit as well. So you earn your maroon beret or whatever. Yeah. So with this, you earn your black suit and your black belt. Okay. So they get to, it's like a superhero outfit. We say the closest thing you're going to get to it. So they get to earn it and stand next to the instructors, and they hold them in high, high regards, don't they? Just like you do with the depot staff. It's the same process when they're up here, they're achieving, they're doing well. You look up to them. Once you've done the tests that they've done that qualified them to get through, you elevate your own self-image to where you believe that they were, don't you? Until you get filled in downtown a bit and realise you're not as bulletproof as you thought.
But so the military, how large is this organisation now?
So we've got the biggest chain of martial arts centres in the UK.
Wow.
So we had 100 locations just before COVID. that wiped about 70% of the business out at that point.
Everyone suffered.
Yeah.
I mean, at the cadets, you had a thing called Keep the Flame Alive. You know, what I mean? Just doing anything to keep people interested in what they were doing before, because it's very difficult, isn't it? Did you do any sort of like Zoom?
Yeah, we
had
to. We did as much as we could to try and keep people engaged. Yeah. But how many lockdowns? We had 3 or 4, didn't we? So the more lockdowns we did,
I started off in Spain. I ended up
did
over
you?
here. Do you know what I mean?
Got away.
Everywhere I went got locked down. It's followed me about at one stage.
So I think it starts off, everyone's engaged, but the longer it went on for, less and less people got engaged. So we just tried to work as hard as we could. But the good thing is after lockdowns, what I did is I changed my business model somewhat, because I was opening like 10 locations. Say, for example, you got a city like Manchester. Yeah. You got 10. We opened 10 different locations in primary schools. And that one instructor would cover those. And what we were doing, because of COVID, they just weren't letting us back into these schools because of all the safeguarding for the children. But the martial arts centres I had, we were allowed to open, we could run classes, and they were just filling up. So what I did is I got the instructors and we did a sideward step rather than a step backwards or forwards. And we moved a lot of them into full-time locations because there was loads available on the high street. We were able to get some good deals because loads of businesses were going.
Lots of things went under, didn't they?
Yeah, so I moved them into full-time ones. Then they'd lock down again. And then when we reopened, boom, they just filled them up within weeks. So I was very lucky that I managed to regain everything pretty quickly. And had a kind of a different model set then, because it was the full-time centres, and that seems to be working well now.
Oh, that's what you're rolling with now.
Well, I've got both. Okay. Yeah. So we employ some people, some are franchisees. It depends, whatever they want. Once people have done I do like a 5-day training selection course. Yeah. So I'm actually opening that up next year to other people outside my organisation, because I've done it 3 times a year for 15 years. So I love it. It's great every time. I've got them for 5 days, put them through the paces. A lot of it's similar to you do a PTI course, but it's all martial arts orientated, and they'll go to some of the local centres around us. And then on the Friday, they do all the physical tests, and they get beasted to see they've got the right mindset and minerals to be a BMMA instructor. And if they get an A grade, they're allowed to work with us.
So the actual martial arts that you're using in kickboxing,
yeah.
How long does it take to master that? How long does it take to learn that?
Well, to become a black belt, it's about 4 or 5 years. But a master that, mastering's but I always say, I've trained a lot of world champions, you see, because I competed to a high level. I was multiple British, European and world champion. Wow. So when I got out, I was submerged in martial arts. I was training 2-3 times a day, running all my classes. So I'd train once or twice a day, then I'd run 6 classes, and I'd train in the last kind of 2 with my squad. And I had all these kids, and I would make them do everything I was doing. So, and they didn't need to, because I had hundreds of students at the time. And at the time, I'd built up to about 20 locations and 1 full-time location. So I just picked the best ones, got the parents in, and just said, I'm going to train these if you want me to, like I do, but it's my rules, my terms, my conditions. Are you in? If they don't do it, they're gone. So there's no argument.
Yeah, there's no if, buts, or maybes.
And I didn't need to do this. That was the other bit was paying the money. It was getting my income with the actual schools, and because the beginners take up most of it. So that was all set up, but this was for fun. This is what I wanted to do, to create a bit of a legacy and also to hold me accountable, because these guys were travelling everywhere with me, all around the we'd fight most weekends, and every month we'd be in a different country. I'd take them all with us, and I built up a really good high-level squad as well. So that was good fun, but obviously that was hard work. I was doing like 6 classes a day. I was running my full-time location as well as all these other ones. That's about much of a capacity as I could manage. Yeah. Couldn't really get bigger than that, so I had to change my model somewhat, step back a little bit, get other people in to run beginners classes. Then I started pushing other instructors out to open more and more locations, and started systemizing things in a way that I could pass it on.
Yeah. So do you have many ex-military working?
Yeah, loads. That's what, originally British military martial arts. So it's military ethos and values, but we have also a lot of about half of them ex-military.
Really?
So, so they get to be part of a brotherhood or sisterhood again.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it puts you with like-minded people again, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I found, boxing really helped me, and it put me in a place where people wanted to achieve. You always have people there who are training. The whole thing. I think it really, if it's my one message to veterans, get yourself involved in some sort of a form of sport.
Absolutely.
Or something, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
100%. Because that's what it re-engages you again. It makes them remember themselves. We've had a lot of veterans that have, they've served, they've come out, they forget who they are a little bit, because you know, when you're in there, you're someone special. You've got meaning, value. You got a purpose, haven't you?
Well,
and
especially like units in Paras, and Paras are told all the time, "You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best." You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, you get on Civvy Street, and you're like, "Hang on a minute."
Yeah, you're on a building site, you know, or they've just got a regular job, and
no one actually gives a shit that you were Para-Reg, do they? Do you know what I mean? No one gives a shit. I was in the regiment.
No,
you know what I mean? It's like, oh wow, where did that come from then?
I know, exactly. So we want to give them some purpose again, and also utilise their skill sets. Military people have such a great set of skills that for mentoring others, that's what you're taught to lead on.
They don't even realise that.
No, they don't.
As well, which is really a real shame, because
it really is.
It's only sort of like lately that they've started sort of like transferring your skills into Civvy Street. Give you a piece of paper to say, "Good manager."
Yeah,
he's a section commander. He's the best manager in the world.
Absolutely. Someone who's done juniors or is a section commander for leadership is second to none. I thoroughly believe that, because you learn to perform when all the odds are against you. You can only tell real good leadership when everything's going wrong, I think.
Yes.
It's easy when everything's everything's going right, but when everything's going wrong and that you're under pressure and stress and you still manage to get, you know, no plan survives contact, does it? It's improvise, adapt, 100%. Overcome, change things, still achieve your objective, you know. Once you've got that type of mindset, you can succeed in anything.
Yeah, no, I genuinely believe that. So, what are your plans now? What are your plans? Are you going to continue with the martial arts thing? What are you hoping to do now?
So, I've actually got a book that's out in 2 months' time. So,
it's
called Elite Martial Arts Instructor.
Okay, cool.
So it's.
Is that going Amazon Prime?
It is, yeah.
I'm going to plug the book.
Yeah. So I haven't told anyone about it yet. I'm going to release it properly.
Okay.
About start of September. I'm going to start letting people say I've leaked it out now, and they listen. That's fine. But we're going to do a bit of a promotion for it. It goes on Amazon. It's out the 1st of November, and it's called Elite Martial Arts Instructor. And it's the systems, processes to open and operate a successful martial arts school. But it's also got loads of coaching tips, fighting tips, anything to be elite and top level within anything martial arts, basically. Okay. So it's a great way for people to find a little bit about what I've done, who I am, and also at the same time, if you're running a martial arts school already or you're interested in it, I've literally mapped out exactly what you need to do to grow, not just to survive, but to thrive, to grow, and to scale. Because everything I do is got to be the best. It's got to be the biggest. You've got to make it as good as you possibly can. Yeah. And that's the same mindset that I had in the Parachute Regiment. That's helped me achieve and have success as a fighter, as a coach.
But you alluded to it even as a kid. You wanted to become this man.
It's all the same mindset, though, isn't it, Phil? Yeah. You know, it's that constant and never-ending improvement. You're never happy either, are you? I'm able to stand back and be mildly happy sometimes. Think, do you know what? I'm doing all right there. But back to the grind.
If you rest on your laurels, that's when you come off the boil. Do you know what I mean? And I have been guilty of that before myself. Do you know what I mean? You suddenly get yourself in a position where, I've won the war. No, you haven't. You're
never
on the way
over.
up there, son. Do you know what I mean? You've got to keep plugging on.
So the book is a way of getting that message out there a little bit. And I'm now going to open my course up to members of my school, so people that might be doing martial arts already but don't necessarily want to become part of my organisation. Okay. Just a way of helping others. I want to help the industry. I've seen how valuable it is, and I'm the living, breathing example of what martial arts can do to help somebody. You know, I wasn't the perfect child by any means, but I've managed to build a level of success.
It gives people a lot of core values and standards that they possibly wouldn't have had otherwise.
Exactly. Very similar to the military.
And you know, the military now, I know that the military at present are looking at various different combat, sort of like hand-to-hand combat roles, because disciplines, because it's so valuable. It's such a valuable skill to have. You know, be able to fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Be able to actually stand there, mano, or womano, and have a tear-up.
Absolutely. I know some of the militaries do, don't they? Some of them pay a bit more attention to it.
I mean, P Company mill, don't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Other than that, I mean, who actually gets a tear-up during a training?
No,
I don't think anybody has a tear-up during a tear-up, do they?
No, it should do.
I don't think even the Marines, but you're right. You should do. Can you keep your head up during a...
Exactly.
And can you keep going forwards? And, are you going to keep staring down the barrel of being punched? Do you know what I mean?
There is a lot of similarities, I'd imagine. Do you know what I mean? It is, if you're going to turn your back and, from a punch, then
you get this
there's
fight
no
or
way
flight thing. And some people would argue you can't do anything about the fight or flight thing. I argue that you can, but it's that initial reaction that needs training and needs... Because if the first time you ever come across something that's going to actually physically hurt you, of course you're going to go to your natural reaction, aren't you? You can train that out of people, I believe. But
just familiarity with that experience. You just need constant facing of that feeling, and eventually you can settle it down a bit and start to think, all right, okay,
And then eventually you'll grow enough confidence. Just like
Yeah.
any sort of like combat sport, you'll grow the confidence to actually stand there, start analysing and throwing back and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So
Cool.
you've been doing a bit of boxing yourself still, haven't you?
I love boxing, mate.
Still?
I started boxing at 45 years old.
Really?
I had my first fight at 45 years old.
There's no way I'd want to do anything like that anymore. I'm done on all that. I was watching you do it and I thought,
I had
fair
a fight
play.
2 weeks ago.
Did you? Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm
didn't you?
trying to line another one up now.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a big one, yeah.
Yeah, but it is good though, isn't it? It just, like you said, you've lost a hell of a lot of weight.
It's kept me on the straight and narrow. It's helped my overall fitness, which has also opened up other things. I'm walking up the mountains and that now, all that sort of stuff. So it's absolutely turned me around. So, again, I'm trying people like yourself pushing this message to veterans. It's massively helped me up here.
Yeah.
Massively helped
You need to occupy your mind. You've got to have a challenge. You've got to have something to aim for. And a bit of a struggle, I think. When you sat there and because I remember when I stopped fighting at 35, like I was just training just to maintain. I was in pretty good shape. So just training to maintain shape was not doing it at all. It's like, that's no why to get in the gym.
Yeah, it's not a reason, is it?
No.
There needs to be an end result.
Exactly. So I was sabotaging so I'd end up just going on holiday, drinking and eating loads, putting a bit of weight on so I could get that kind of dopamine hit again of right, let's get myself in shape and have like a bit of a challenge. But then I stopped doing that and then just maintained it. And I thought, I need to do something else. So I joined Para, to be honest with you. I needed to have a bit
That must be phenomenal now. And that must keep you right interested, active.
It's amazing. I love it. It was such an amazing experience. And I'll tell you what as well, going to the depot was such a surreal experience. To go there at 46 years of age, I was 15, 20 years older than some of the instructors there, and they were amazing. They are
You're still in good nick, aren't you? You're still
I try, but I'm a lot heavier now, though. I was like 110 kilo. I thought, what I'll do, I'll lose about 20 kilo. That just didn't happen. And I was fasting. I was like not eating till 2 o'clock. And like, it was like, my body doesn't want to get any smaller. And I thought, it's easy.
I can emphasise that. I've lost over 30 kilos this year. And I'm telling you now, it has been absolute nails to do it.
It's unbelievable. And you can't, I thought, do you know what? I'll just run every day. I'll run every day. Yeah. I can't, because I'm weight, because, I'm in good shape, but I'm heavy. Yeah, I was like 70 odd kilo before. My calves were going, my knees. And unfortunately, I've got my hip. I need a new hip now. So my hip was fine. Joined the military. We had to do like 11 weekends. I didn't have to do P Company again. I did 11 weekends and then two 16 days at depot. But that was more than enough anyway, I'll be honest with you. And so on about the third weekend, like I had a bad hip. It started to develop and it just wouldn't go away. So I found out what it was, and they said, well, I've got arthritis in my hip from all the years of kicking and my military, training from before.
Dancing in the shop.
Yeah, exactly. Naked bars, dancing on them. So I needed to not do it really, but I just got myself some painkillers. I had a Duralene injection in my hip. So I was still managing. I was still in like the top, I'd say, over the weekends, probably the top third with regards to fitness and stuff. So I was still doing all right, but I had aspirations of like, well, I'm going to go. I want to be the fittest again. Like, I was one of the top ones when I was in there, and I just couldn't get myself fit enough. Well, I was still fit, but I couldn't get that weight off to get really going in my hip. Yeah. So I thought it just became a survival in the end. I just thought, right, I need to get through this training. I got to the 2 weeks at depot, and my Duralene injection had worn off. So I was just in shit state. So I still managed to do all the fizz and everything. But I did myself a bit of a mischief, I think, on that. But I got through, and it was hard. But it was hard in all the ways I didn't want it to be. But you can't choose how choose how it's going to be hard. You just need to find a way around it in the end. But the staff was so good; they supported us. I was having after a few days there, getting to know the guys, having brews in the office and that, and all the fucking about and the bullshit like that. I didn't eat. There's like you haven't got to do that.
You're not in depot, are you?
No, that's
you're
it.
Not in depot.
I wasn't sure when I first got there though, because I thought these are all new guys. No one really knew what to do with me. You know what I mean? I'm like, because they'd not run 4 paracardas before, and they've got a guy here who's like flipping 46 years of age. Weren't entirely sure what to. So no one really knew what to do the first few days. But in the end, I made some really good friends there, and I'll tell you now, they're just as good now as they were when I was in or at any time. Yeah, they're still unbelievably fit.
I say that. I mean, both my sons are serving. So one's a captain, the other one's a lance corporal.
All right,
I go and meet. I meet troops all the time. I was down with 2-9 Commando the other week, and all those sorts of people. Mate, they do the same job.
Exactly.
In fact, in terms of actually being in the field, it's probably harder now. You've got drones, you've got nights,
days. Yeah. There's loads more to learn.
There's nails out there now. Do you know what I mean? All right, there's a bit more kit, But that's more responsibility.
It is. I tell you what. I did notice there's more. Like you said, there's more kit and there's more to learn. There was way more to learn. Like it was quite simple when I was
more
going
to sign for.
Yeah.
More to lose.
More responsibility. So it was tough, but it was great. And it was really good to see because when you've got an elite mindset, like you know what it's like in the military. 2 para think they're better than 3 para. The A company thinks they're better than B company. 1 platoon thinks they're better than 2 platoon. One section's better. Like everyone, no one's good apart from you when you've got that mindset, aren't you? And that's just the way everyone is who's elite. Yeah. So it's really good to see that they are still absolutely on the ball.
And
the staff there.
How often do you tip up for that now?
So I've had a bit of a holiday. I finished it all. When was it? So I did the depot in March. I've done a few weekends in between, and then I went on holiday. I've had a couple of holidays over the summer, so I'm just here and there. But I'm getting my hips sorted in the next, hopefully.
So it's a far more relaxed regime.
Yeah, that's it. I can pick and choose.
Was when you was in, I
can pick and choose now. I think 4 para away on a operation soon. Actually, we're over in Cyprus.
Nice.
So everything's all geared towards that at the minute. So the blokes are getting something ready, but I'm not going to be able to go and do 6 months over there. So I think I'll be going onto the training team that we're looking at me putting on the training team, getting made back up, and then can obviously, hopefully, input and mentor the younger ones.
Again, more focus, more.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's actually really surreal, and I'm really good to be able.
It's the age limit. I want to.
I know. Yeah,
I want to go.
But the age limit was, I think it was your 43rd birthday, but I was 45. I was able to just appeal. It's not the army, just keep appealing, don't you?
Just keep. Appeal. I'm 54.
Oh, yeah, I think you might be a little bit over, Phil.
Well, it's 45 backwards, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Look, listen, we'd love to follow some of the stuff you're doing. We'll certainly help you plug your book when it comes out.
Thank you very much.
Anything else you ever want to come and talk to us about, we'd love to talk to you about the Parachute Regiment at some stage as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
But look, hopefully we've made ourselves a new friend in the studio here today.
Absolutely.
It's been great to have you on board, and we'll see you next time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Phil. Cheers.
Lovely job. Cheers, bud.